Hey everyone, we are talking about birth and the newborn still. This lecturette or mini lecture, I don't know, what are we calling these? It was going to be on states of infant arousal. So, without further ado, the infant states of arousal that we're going to talk about are there's two different kinds of sleep. There's quiet and deep sleep. Quiet or deep sleep or active or light sleep. There's drowsiness, alert inactivity, alert activity, and crying. So you can see that already right off the bat, four of those are pretty passive. The two sleeps, the drowsiness, and even the alert inactivity are pretty passive. When infants are born, they don't do a lot, but they do have periods of alert activity when they are really just ready to soak it all in and be more active. Also, the one that we're most familiar with are periods of crying as well, and crying serves as the main communication for infants before they develop speech. So it's their main communication really throughout the infancy period, even when speech does take over, just because language is going to be more primitive. They're not going to have as much access to language as you and I would, and so crying still will be a form of communication. So quiet or deep sleep, we have that drowsiness, and then we have the crying. Those are actually my baby's pictures. Granted, they're 10 years old now, and I will go have my own communicative outburst and cry in the corner. Again, states of arousal, and they have these different types of sleep, wakefulness, levels of arousal, and all of this really reflects their central nervous system and their development. So again, these things start to change. Prenatally, we'll start to see less sleep and more periods of awakeness and activity as prenatal development approaches birth. And we'll continue to see this change between having more and more alert time as the brain continues to develop. Remember, the central nervous system, the brain, is underdeveloped at birth. It's had a lot of development, but we're going to see a huge amount of development happening up until really big development until 2, and then still continuing to develop until the early 20s. So again, this difference in the states of arousal and the different proportions that infants spend time in really is a reflection of their brain and their central nervous system. So these states of arousal are also important because they really constrain experiences and they organize behaviors. So if you're sleeping most of the day, that constrains your experiences, right? It limits the times that they can have interactions. It limits the times that they can kind of interact and learn. So we'll see that, again, this more time that they're spending in this alertness, whether that's inactivity or activity, we're going to allow for more experiential change. And so again, this central nervous system, as it continues to develop and we continue to see less time sleeping and more time active, that will make a difference. We'll see different behaviors as a function of one of these states of arousal, and we'll also and we'll see that reflected in these discussions. So again, they're in the two sleep states, both the quiet and deep and the more active sleep. The sleep-wake cycle is a reflection of the baby's brain maturation. And so the fact that a newborn doesn't sleep through the night is not some cruel cosmic joke. It has to do with brain maturation. It has to do with how that central nervous system is organized. And so we don't really see like kind of more true sleeping through the night until later on, past this kind of newborn stage, and that again is reflective of this change in brain maturation. We do see them still alternating between both REM and non-REM sleep, just like you and I do. We'll see that their total REM will decrease with age and their non-REM will increase. Newborns are actually not like us in the fact that they fall asleep in REM, where we fall asleep in non-REM. And that really, we start to see that pattern really emerge after 2 months. And again, this is going to be a reflection of that brain maturation, of that change in the central nervous system. And there again is the sleeping baby. The two waking states, both the alert and the non-alert. So the non-alert is going to be kind of more uncoordinated motor activity, more non-focused. Quiet alertness is going to be attentive and focused, really still, kind of again that taking it all in. And we'll see more and more of this as the baby develops. This picture is of a friend, her son, and she posted it on Facebook one day. I was like, oh my gosh, can I use that? Because that baby is like the definition of quiet alertness. He is just staring and taking it all in. Really that attentive focus, very still behavior. Drowsiness. It looks very much the same way it does in infants as it does in us. So the glazed eyes, the head bobs, that transition between sleep and waking. So you should be very familiar in how that looks because we all exhibit that one still. And then crying, we can have that with a lot of diffuse motor activity. You can see here in this picture of my daughter, her arms are back, her fingers are clenched. She is not happy. She is pretty angry here. And this serves again as a communicative way to tell the caregiver, in this case, please stop taking my picture and put my clothes back on, is what was happening here. I'm hungry. Stop it. Again, this will be most frequent in the first 3 months, and it really peaks in the evenings. Now, babies are born and newborn cries all sound very, very similar. And as they age, their cries change. But abnormal cries are again a signal of central nervous system distress. So it can, again, just like we can see reflexes and telling us something's not working right in the central nervous system, we can see that with cries as well. So you'll see sometimes babies that are born with cocaine exposure, they have very, very different cries. And again, this will reflect the damage to the central nervous system caused by cocaine exposure prenatally. So that ends our discussion of states of arousal. Our next lecturette, or whatever we're calling it, will be on sensory abilities. Thanks, everyone.